best variety of gospel music, the new 1420 AM WFLT. Flint, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. It's time. It's 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. That means it's time for Let's Talk About It with Pastor Freelon Threlkelds and friends. And guess what? His friend today, the guest host is a former Flint Mayor, the Honorable Dr. Karen Weaver. So stay tuned. Dr. Weaver's coming right up after the break. Remember, the views and opinion of the show are not those of the staff and management of WFLT. Good morning. With you, with me. We cover and raise the people can stand up and don't you forget about. Stand up for what you believe in. Why should it be so heavily on my mind? After working 8 hours every day, not knowing if I won't make it back home to hug. Jesus, see my little children play. We should not be judged by the color of our skin, but we all should be judged by the character. Good morning, Dr. Weaver. You are live on the air.
Good morning. Good morning. And it is good to be here with you. And you know what? We're going to get started. But before we start, I just want to say that song is so apropos for what is going on around the city of Flint, the state of Michigan, and our country. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank Jasmine Stanley for joining me this morning. Jasmine, the last time I was on here, I think you came on with me. And we had a good show. We had a good talk, and that's what we're going to do today. But before we get into it, we want you all, we are also on social media. We want you all to like. We want you to share and subscribe, please. And we want to say thank you to Pastor Threlkelds for allowing us to have his spot this morning. He is, he's enjoying himself today. But we are going to do like we always do and start out the way that he would see fit. And, Jasmine, I was listening to that song, Stand Up. And I was also, I went to Ephesians because that's another one of the books that Pastor Threlkeld reads from frequently. So we're going to start by going to Ephesians 6. I'm going to read verses 10 through 13, and I'm reading from the King James Version. And it says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand." And Jasmine, right now, I shouldn't say right now, but sometimes it feels like you need that armor of God even more. We need it all the time, but especially now, there is so much going on. And we need to talk about some of these things. And so I want to say thank you to you for joining, because I know you've been busy. You've had two of your kids graduate from high school, going to college now. So you have been busy. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come on here. And like I said, there's been so much going on, so much. And the name of this show is fitting, Jasmine. It's Let's Talk About It. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about it, Jasmine. Where I'm gonna let you kick us off. Where do you want to start? You said last time we were doing this, you said, "Oh, you preached." So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna let you start us off," because I heard you preaching the other day. But where do you think we should get started?
Well, I think that as we're on, or that I am honored to be on the show today with the former mayor of Flint, the first female mayor of Flint, the one who let us out of the water crisis. I think a good place to start would be, talking about the news regarding pipe completion that came out this week on July 2nd. All the days are getting by me, so I don't remember what day of the week July 2nd was, but I know it was one of the days this week. So I think that's a good place to start. What do you think, Mayor?
You do?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't accurate. You know what? Let me ask Landon. For those of you that are watching, and I want to tell the people that are listening on 1420, there's an article. If you can pull up the headline from that article, and the Courier had an article out because it did talk about pipe replacement being complete. It talked about pipe replacement being complete. And what date was that article? Because you know what, Jasmine, that's interesting for them to come out and make a statement. The state made this statement. The state told us, and good morning to you all. We see you there. The state told us that the pipe replacement had been completed. Is that what you're talking about?
That is the article. I guess it was, according to the article that was published on July 2nd, the statement or this report came out from the state of Michigan on July 1st,
right,
regarding the pipe completion. Yes.
Okay. And you know what? So first of all, we know that's not true. And the funny part, not so funny, is when they made that statement, the next day, you could drive around in the 3rd Ward. Well, we're going to talk about that later, because the 3rd Ward, we're going to talk about that election coming up. But this is in the 3rd Ward. And it says, Flint completes lead water pipe replacement throughout city, according to multiple sources. And we know the state has said this. And not only was this in the Courier, there was something in MLive where they also talked about pipe replacement being completed. And the next day, I know you have a picture, Landon, we saw people out there doing pipe replacement. They're still doing pipe replacement. So, you go around, you can talk to them. They'll talk to you, and they'll tell you some things if you go out there and talk to to them. So, you know me, I want to know what's going on. What? You brought this up. You brought this. What?
I think you earned your right to be able to check in on where things are with the pipe replacement.
Okay, well, and it says,
and I think every citizen of Flint
right,
has the right to know exactly what's going on.
So can you put that back up, Landon? Because that was an article that Ron Fonger had said something about all this. He wrote the article. All required service line excavation and lawn restoration work has been completed in Flint, according to a new report filed in the federal court by the state of Michigan on Tuesday, July 1st. The filing marks an end to a 2016 lawsuit filed by the Concerned Pastors for Social Action, the National Resource Defense Council, and others to force the excavation and replacement of nearly 11,000 lead service lines damaged during the city's water crisis. Okay, that's not true. We're going to do a fact check, okay?
All right.
Fact check. And the fact check says, as I talk to people, because thank you that I've earned that right. You know what I was told? I was told that there are over 3,000 lines yet to be explored. Oh. That does not include the abandoned homes. They have a deadline of August 1st to do the hydrovacing and exploration. And they are supposed to be completed by December, by the end of the year. So there are 4 companies. There's a Lakeshore Global, who is the prime contractor, and then they've subbed it out to 3 others. So for them to put in the paper and tell this community that all is completed, and the words they like to use are, we should celebrate. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. So let me ask you this, Jasmine, when we start listening to the state, when we start believing the state?
Well, I think one of the last times we believed in, we listened to them, I think that's when we got in this trouble in the first place.
It sure is.
So I don't know that I'm going to put all of my faith or anything in what the state has to say regarding this, because obviously they want this chapter to be behind them. Which you started the conversation talking about how I had 2 kids that graduated from high school this year.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those kids that graduated were in elementary school. I just want people to really I know that the people that live in our community, they know because we deal with it on an everyday basis, but people that are maybe watching or listening from other parts of the country or other parts of the state, we have been dealing with this since my kids were in 2nd and 3rd grade. They graduate from high school this year.
Yes. And there's a picture that Landon had put a picture up, and it just, for those of you that aren't watching, I want to describe it. They're out there working. It's contractors out there doing the pipe exploration and hydrovacing. I'm looking at, here's a comment. AC said they were replacing pipes the other day down the street from my home. He's in the 3rd ward. So now, how do they tell us one thing and we can see with our own eyes? We know people who said they have not had anybody come to their home. So how are they going to tell us this? And I mean, that's
Mayor,
what?
It's kind of like when the water crisis first happened. People, the citizens told them that the water wasn't right, that something was wrong. We were getting brown water. The water smelled funny. And in our own faces, as we were experiencing this, they told us, oh, no, everything is fine. Everything checks out. And so we have, again, the state of Michigan telling us the water is safe, the pipe completion is done. And then I'm surprised they even said the part about the restoration of the...
That's not going to be done.
Right.
That's not going to be done by the end of the year. They're going to run out of time. And so for them to tell us those things, I just want to warn the people. I'm not going to change what I said before. Stick to bottled and filtered water. The state has state fatigue. They Flint fatigue. They said that we've got state fatigue. They've got Flint fatigue because they said that back when I was in office. And so one of the things I want people to know is, we do more than wear a shirt that says Black Lives Matter or Flint Lives Matter. Be safe with your lives. We've lost how many people to this water crisis? And a lot of it is undocumented because they want to give us a smaller number that is not true, that is not accurate. So be safe with your lives, be protective of your lives. And hey, stick with bottled and filtered water. Don't you all start listening to the state now. In fact, I know we're going to talk about the third ward election that's coming up, but next year we're going to have some elections all over the place, and we can get some new people representing us at the state level too. Let me just say that.
Absolutely. At the state, at the local, I mean, we're going to have, next year is going to be like elections. I don't know if I can say this, but elections on crack, because everybody's up for re-election or election. So it's definitely, we got state, local, we have midterms on the national side. And I think that people are showing us who they are. And so I think that we need to return that favor at the ballot box. So
we sure do. That's why I like that song, Stand Up, because you've seen people coming to city council meetings. You've seen people taking to the streets. People are standing up because we're fed up. We're tired. And one thing we know about people in Flint, we will show up for the right fight, and we are there. So we need to be about our business. Don't listen to the state on this one. They are not done. Like I said, I'm going to repeat those numbers. They still have 3,000 lines that need to be looked at, and that does not include abandoned homes. Restoration needed at 221 East Moore Street in the 3rd Ward. The street needs to be restored again. And wow. I reported it on behalf of those on East Moore Street residents. So we know people. We know people that have not, I don't want to name call, but they know who. I was at a meeting where a lady stood up and said, no one's been to my house. No one has checked my pipes. And we're in year 11. So thank you, state, for again giving us false, inaccurate information. And we are not buying what you're selling.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And I was scrolling through Facebook last night, and I had a Facebook friend who is not in the 3rd Ward. I don't think. Well, no, I know that. Who had their pipes replaced on July 3rd.
July 3rd. However, July 1st, they said it was done.
Correct.
Right. And those pictures are from the day after they filed that report. They filed that report in court. Now, I thought when you went to court, you were supposed to take an oath. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. That's why we got to keep the armor on, because, they'll tell us anything. They think we've forgotten.
We have not.
Well, and if we have, we're going to remind people.
It's hard to forget, every time there's a holiday and you have to cook like some greens or some green beans. That's a lot of bottled water to go through.
And
trying to clean them.
Right. All that stuff.
Wash your meat.
Whatever you're doing using, this water. So we have to be vigilant in that and let them know they're not getting away with that. But it's funny. I think it's funny that those pictures were in the 3rd Ward, because there's a 3rd Ward election coming up.
There is.
There's a 3rd Ward election coming up. In fact, absentee ballots are out right now. And I don't know, there's a lot riding on this 3rd Ward election because City Council has been in a deadlock since the passing of Councilman Quincy Murphy. It's been a deadlock. It's been 4-4. And there's been 4 that have really stood with the people and 4 that have stood with themselves. And so this election is really important. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I would say, unfortunately, not a resident of the 3rd Ward, but obviously I do have family and friends that live in the 3rd Ward. So I like to think all of my family and friends are informed voters. I like to think that they are always going to go and vote, but I know that sometimes life gets by people and they don't even realize. And I think that a lot of times, voter suppression happens on different levels. So this is the only election, but you don't hear a lot in the more traditional media about this election. But there was something actually that came out this week in traditional media about this election, and I thought that was interesting.
Which one was that?
That was the article, I think that was Ron too, in MLive about the post, we'll call it postage, I don't know, something, but the postage situation where we had an elected official who was using city resources to try and help a candidate or a write-in candidate.
Well, you know what? Okay, so let's talk about that. That because, so this election is important because the residents of the 3rd Ward have not had a voice since the passing of Quincy Murphy, Councilman Murphy. The other thing is it's important to the whole city because there's been a deadlock at city council and nothing has been able to get passed because of this. But, there used to be a time when we respected the vote and the voice of the people. Now, you remember, there was an election before. Yeah. The top 2 vote getters were A.C. Dumas and Beverly Biggs. And they said that election didn't count. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay, so the people of the 3rd Ward had spoken then. And it didn't matter. Their stuff was thrown out. It didn't count. So then there tried to be an appointment. That went, one night it went over 100 rounds. So they did, there was no, there was no winner that way. No one was appointed. Mm-hmm. Then they had a primary, Jasmine. There was a primary. The top 2 vote getters came through. And I was thinking about this because, there used to be a time when there was an election and the top 2 vote getters, whoever were the top 2 vote getters, they go and the people that had been running against for that seat, let me say that, running against whoever it was in that seat, they got together and they endorsed, that next person. I think the last time I saw that was when Daryl Buchanan and Dane Walling were running for mayor, and there were 5 other people, and they all showed up and they endorsed Daryl Buchanan. But now we're in a thing where we don't want to accept the results. We want to say, how can we change this? And while there are legal ways to be part of a camp, part of the election, there are write-ins. That's not what we used to do because...
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's not what we used to do. We used to have a history of sticking together. And, we haven't had anybody in Flint win a write-in campaign.
No.
We haven't had that happen. So the process has always been that the top 2 vote getters go through. So we've had 2 top 2 vote getters, which were the same top 2 vote getters the first time in the primary. And here we go. We don't want to accept the will of the people, the voice of the people. They said who they wanted. Absolutely. It was the top 2 were A.C. Dumas and Beverly Biggs. And so now we have a write-in. And this race is going to be determined so closely, because we need people to come out. We need people to vote. And it's going to be determined so closely that anything can tip this scale. And so there's a lot of money being put in this. In fact, you go ahead. I'm going to pull something up that I want to read because Jerry Winfrey Carter had a comment that I really liked. She had a statement. So, I mean, what's up with that we don't even honor the process anymore?
Well, I'm going to blame it on youth sports. So I'm a sports mom, right?
Okay.
We just got back from soccer in the sand last week. And so when my kids were small and my son, he was playing AYSO soccer, I called them the Bad News Bears because they would lose every game. And we were at some kind of tournament. And so they had them line up and give them a trophy too. and they had lost. I mean, they lost every game in that tournament and still walked away with the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that some of that mentality has gotten into the heads of these so-called community activists, community leaders that are stepping out to run for office. I mean, when you run for office, there is a chance that you're not going to win, you know, and it's a hard pill to swallow when you've invested your time, your resources, and you have this, you know, want and passion to serve. And true service can happen from anywhere. And I think that you exemplify that, number one. And that I think that we just have a bunch of sore losers, unfortunately, in our community, because this is not the first time that this has happened with such an important election. We had the same thing where we had a first ward candidate who decided that they were going to run a write-in candidacy after they lost. I mean, you know, at what point do you accept
defeat?
You know, there exactly. I mean, like, we're just going to sit here and you're just going to keep running and running and running. No one has time for that. I mean, you know, you could try again I mean, we have a whole election. We just talked about elections in 2026. We have a whole election next year. Why? What is
you couldn't win when your name was on the ballot, but you want to write in. You want to take from the top. And there's somebody joining from Minneapolis. Good morning. Good morning, Beverly James. Thank you for joining us all the way from Minneapolis. Yeah, I mean, you lost. And I'm going to read what look, Jerry Winfrey Carter, but I know Tanya Burns likes to call her JWC. And here's what JWC said. She called okay, I'm skipping because I'm going back to the point you made earlier as far as these postcards that went out, and we do need to talk about that. So let me talk about that first before I read what she said, because you were making a point, and I'm sorry that I skipped ahead a little bit, but you were making a point about these postcards, and the point I think you were making was is it campaigning with our tax dollars? Is that what or am I saying that?
Well,
the mayor. We're talking about the mayor. Let's be real clear. We don't want any confusion here. We're talking about Mayor Sheldon Neely.
So let's set it up. All right.
Okay.
So there were postcards that were mailed to Third Ward residents. They had a bulk stamp on them, and they were from the mayor's office with a return address 1101 South Saginaw Street, which is obviously the City Hall. And MLive ran an article that said, there it is.
Mayor used city postage permit.
Well, they said it, not us.
Bam.
And that is illegal.
Okay.
Can we say that?
Yeah. You said it.
Okay. That is, I'm just saying, listen,
you know a whole lot about politics. For those of you that are joining us, if you don't know Jasmine Stanley, her father was Woodrow Stanley, and he was our 3-time mayor. And so Jasmine is part of that legacy family. So she knows what she speaks of. I'm sorry, Jasmine, go ahead.
No, yes. So that is who I am. But, you know, that is so infuriating to me, because number one, as I stated before, I don't live in the Third Ward. However, I do care about the outcome of that election. I know it's super important to help be able to move things in a more respectful way through city council. Really hoping that whoever wins, takes that office. And I believe the 2 candidates that are on the ballot, Ms. Beverly Biggs Levy, as well as Deacon A.C. Dumas, that both of them do have the city's best interest at heart and will take office and take oath and do what is right for this community. And that is what we need. We have suffered as residents with, a pay-to-play politics through the city council through $97 million of ARPA funds. And, it just needs to stop. And this is our opportunity to stop it. But clearly there is something else that is happening when you use city resources. I mean, we can't even do the little things in our community because our community is strapped for cash. But we're going to take some money and pay postage for a write-in candidate. And here's the thing. It wasn't even like it. So of course it's not straightforward campaigning, right? It's the illusion. But there was also, so the mayor appointed 2 people to be third ward ambassadors as we were going through this difficult transition period. And that happened in January. But why is it that in July, he's introducing only one of those ambassadors? He didn't even have the smarts to put the second ambassador in the postcard.
Exactly.
Because that
the second ambassador just disappeared like magic.
Disappeared. She's not even part of it.
She's gone. So listen to this. I'm looking at some comments. One says the mayor is trying to get someone in that seat that's going to allow him to continue hook and crook in his administration. I'm going to read what JWC. There's some more. Okay. Oh, wow. There's some people joining us too. A lot of them. Thank you. Thank you. I see you all there. Look, I'm going to read what JWC said. She called the outreach nothing short of a manipulative taxpayer-funded campaign stunt. That was in the article by Ron Fonger. She called it that. And let me see if I can find out, because there was, let's see, there was something filed, and I know Trevor Barrymore filed against this. If I can find that. Because he said, you can't do this. This is illegal. This should be against the law. And he filed a case against this because people, you know what? Because we're standing up. We're not being fooled by this. No. We're not being fooled by this. So where is it? Okay, wait, I'm going to read this, but I see the part about LaShawn and postcards addressed to, let's see. 5 weeks before the third ward voters decide who will represent them, Mayor Sheldon Neely, he's advising them. He needs to stay out of what's going on with city council. He is the executive part of government, and he needs to stay there. The people in the third ward need to speak about this. Yes.
Can we just add one more part to this? Because I just want people to really get this. That postcard came out the same week, right? Am I right? That absentee ballots came out. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, I mean.
So you're talking about the timing of smoke and mirrors because it is campaigning and it's campaigning with taxpayers' dollars, and he's walking a fine line doing that. And people need to know when we talk about leadership. And when we talk about what we're fighting against, even in this, when we talked about this scripture, what we're fighting against, this is a war. And that's why we need our armor on, because they're trying to do all kinds of things to us. They think we are not paying attention, but people are sounding the alarm about all kinds of things that are going on in the city of Flint, because there is so much bad going on. And we have an opportunity in August to get that third ward seat. We have an opportunity to make some change. What does this say? Let's see. I don't think a write-in is going to be successful. The write-in candidate is really showing their character. That's interesting that character is brought up, because when you don't respect the process, when the voters of the third ward have spoken twice, that does speak to character. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Jasmine, about I'm just a sore loser. That's what I am. And that's what has happened. It's become about me and not about we as we look at these campaigns and these elections that are taking place. And I think that's why people get so angry and not trusting the election process, because when those kinds of things happen, it's like didn't matter what you all voted for. We threw that out. It didn't count. It didn't matter. Oh, girl.
Marie,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that everyone understands how this is illegal. So,
go ahead.
In the Michigan Campaign Finance Act, you can find in Section 57, so it's 169, 257, it's under contributions. It's the first thing says, a public body or a person acting for shall not use or authorize the use of funds, personnel, office space, computer hardware or software, property, stationery, postage, vehicles, equipment, supplies, or other public resources to make a contribution or expenditure or provide volunteer personal services that are excluded from the definition of contribution under Section 438. So clearly, it is not legal. And so we're just talking about the postage, but who printed it?
Who printed it and who paid for it?
The state of Michigan, we just talked about how we don't trust them. And so that's actually who you go through. So you go through, if anyone is listening and they would like to file a complaint regarding this, they can go to the Attorney General's office. They can also call the elections office. Everything should be in writing. So if you can email those complaints, but we're supposed to trust the Attorney General. I would like to see an answer from her office within the next week.
I would too. Well, this is the same Attorney General that got everything dismissed for the people that have poisoned us and not been held accountable. So don't look for a lot. So
what you're saying is she owes us one.
Is that what I'm saying? She owes us a whole bunch of stuff.
She does.
She owes us a lot. And change is going to come.
Let's be very clear. Because I don't want people to walk away and say, oh, well, they just don't like the mayor or whatever. That's besides the point. Abuse of power is what we're talking about here. Using our taxpayer dollars is what we're talking about here. Legality is what we're talking about here. No one should be above the law, right?
You're not supposed to be.
The mayor of Flint.
Correct. And to use our taxpayer dollars that way is wrong. But our taxpayer dollars are used when you get your birthday card too, Jasmine. Come on.
Well, I got a birthday coming up, so we'll see, because I've never gotten one. So I don't.
Everybody in my house but me gets one.
Oh, that's so nice. I think I was removed from the
list. You've been removed from a lot of lists, Jasmine.
Well, I'm blocked and banned.
You get blocked and banned. I know.
Cards,
People been blocking all over the place. All over the place. But you're right. Let's see. Primary election gathered 513 registered voters that voted out of 4,426 that are registered. And so that's why we need people to know.
Absolutely. And the one thing you didn't say, or that we didn't say previously about that primary election, is that it actually resulted in a tie for the top two candidates.
Exactly.
So every vote counts. And we need as many third ward residents as possible to get out, vote, take your neighbors. Like we said, absentee ballots are out. So if someone, I don't know.
Jasmine, and you keep talking because I've got to call back in, I guess. Okay.
So I'm going to pull up a phone number that you can call to request an absentee ballot. You can also request one on the Secretary of State's website. trying to look through this. So a couple of things about voters. So I have a huge passion for voter education and advocacy, and also getting out the vote. And so I think it's important that we understand who's eligible to vote. There's often misconceptions about whether you have been convicted of a crime. If you can vote, you can. The only time in the state of Michigan that you cannot vote if you have been convicted of a crime is if you're actually serving a sentence in jail or in prison. So, if you, for those individuals that are awaiting sentencing, those individuals that are in jail without being sentenced, they're eligible to vote. If you are a returning citizen, you are eligible to vote. Um, a few years ago, Michigan passed a same day vote um, law. So now, if you want to register the day of the election, you can. You cannot go to the polling site. You have to go directly to City Hall, to the city clerk's office, but you can vote, and you have to do that 14 days. So if you do not register to vote 2 weeks prior to the election, from 2 weeks to election day, you have to go, and you can go to City Hall and you can register and you can vote there. So that to me is super exciting in terms of increasing the number of people voting. We also will have early voting coming up, which will start 15 days before the election. And you will go again to City Hall, to the city clerk's office. They will be open even on weekends. She hasn't published that schedule yet, but if you're not following myself or Mayor Weaver, we will make sure we get that information on our pages and get that shared out so that as many people that want to vote, that sometimes voting on election day just isn't possible due to scheduling. We want to make sure you get your votes out. We know that we can impact elections when we get the vote out early. So let's get out and let's vote. You can even go to City Hall right now. Well, not right now. They're closed. But on Monday morning,
you can go there.
Monday morning, you can go there. You can request an absentee ballot and you can vote right there and turn your ballot back in. Now, Mayor Weaver, as we're talking about this write-in candidate, I just want to make sure that people understand the rules around write-in candidates.
That's right. Yeah. Let them know what that is. Yeah.
So number one, the person's name has to be spelled correctly. And the other part about your absentee ballot, that is your ballot. No one else is supposed to touch it or facilitate you in voting. So if there is someone that has stopped by your house that says they will help you complete that ballot, do not do that. You complete the ballot on your own. There are 2 individuals on that ballot. You make that choice on who you want to vote for, and you put that ballot. Don't forget to sign and put that ballot back into the secrecy envelope and then put it in the main envelope. Also, do not let somebody walk off with your ballot unless it's a family.
Right.
Well, no.
Don't let anybody walk off with your ballot because we know people cheat.
Absolutely.
And I've heard it firsthand. Okay. I've heard that firsthand. How, I asked them to color this name in and I never saw what they did and they took my ballot. So people cheat. And look, I'm going to read something too, Jasmine. I see 2 of these. Jerry Winfrey Carter said, I sent a complaint to the Michigan Bureau of Elections, the Michigan Secretary of State, and the Attorney General Public Integrity Unit. We'll see what happens. Thank you for that. You know what? She had us clutching our pearls because she has done some things. Let's see. Where is the other one? Sandra Redmond said, I recall when Mayor Stanley's campaigns would have teams canvass neighborhoods to see if people needed rides. And, they did the GOTV. And that's what we need to have people doing. We need to get out the vote because this election is going to be determined by slim margins. We saw that in the primary. We saw a tie. And so we want to respect this process. And, I support, the ballot.
Absolutely.
If you couldn't get on there before, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't have sour grapes. Don't be like Donald Trump and say, I don't believe this is these election results. Find me some votes. I'm going to get up on here. Don't do that. I mean, he's good for that. And we see those little Trump things play out right here in the city of Flint all the time. Let's see. I'm wondering if the chairman, okay, B. Marie said, I'm wondering if the chairman of the Ethics and Accountability Board will make a complaint. There should be all kinds of complaints going on right now because, just about what you were talking about earlier, Jasmine, this is, is such a fine line and using taxpayers' dollars to do these things. I'm angry that my money has been used this way. I'm angry, and we should be. We should be.
Yes, definitely. I think I expressed my anger earlier. So I've calmed down a little bit. But yes, I mean, but I think the part that I'm most angry about is the part where individuals want to act like that's not what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, that goes back to what Jerry Winfrey Carter said in her post. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
You think they're doing smoke and mirrors trying to tell us one thing, and it's really, we know what this is about. And we're not going to be bamboozled again. We're tired of that. We're tired of that. And you know what? It's funny because it seems like some of the mainstream media has gotten tired of it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that they have?
But we
forced their hand.
We definitely, I mean, the mainstream media has been derelict in their, so they like to use that word at city council. So I'm very familiar with it. Derelict in their duties for years.
Yes.
Decades. And so, if they finally want to get one right again,
I like
slow clap for them.
I'll just say a slow one.
Yes, because we have been waiting.
Right.
All of these different pieces are the most important part about the political office, right? So, campaign integrity.
I was going to say integrity matters. Character matters.
Exactly. Reporting of the news, accurate reporting of the news. And so people depend, especially, I think about my grandma's generation, God rest her soul. She went, we're celebrating 9 years not celebrating 9 years without her, but she transitioned 9 years ago. And I'm just thinking about if she was here today, because she still has many friends in our community that are here today. They are not going on to Facebook to get news or YouTube. I mean, some of them maybe, with a grandchild assistance, but these people turn on ABC 12 or Channel 5 or whoever their trusted source is to get their news. And it's a shame that they have not been able to go to those resources and depend on them.
They have become the untrusted source.
Absolutely.
They have become the untrusted source, and they've played a part in what has happened in this community. And so, I'm glad that we're finally starting to see something take shape in this media, because this is outrageous and we should be very angry. And I'm glad people are filing reports. And I agree. I wonder if anybody from the ethics and if the chair of who is the chair of the Ethics and Accountability Board? I'm not sure, but if they will make a complaint, give me that information, B. Marie. Who is the chair of the Ethics and Accountability? Diane said our pastors have played a part in not getting the information, or what part were you saying? William Harris, is the chair of the Ethics and Accountability Board. Now I've been to a few of these council meetings and I've seen him there, and he makes a comment and leaves. But you're absolutely right. This is something that is unethical, and they have not been held accountable, and that's what they should be doing. Now, Joe King, someone said Joe King.
William Harris was the vice chair. Joe King was the chair previous.
Okay.
And he was a long-term chair.
Okay.
And so he transitioned from being chair, but they haven't been able to get a quorum. That's why when people need to understand everything happens because of another thing, right? So they haven't been able to have agreement on appointments for different boards and commissions. And we have some people that don't attend that are members of these boards and commissions. So they have had struggled, I think, since January with getting a quorum to actually do any business with our ethics and accountability
and
board.
If you're not going to attend, get off of it and let somebody represent the people. Diane said of not putting factual information out there and their integrity. Okay, yeah, because we have not seen, there are groups that should be speaking up. But the people
It's been a rough week for pastors. But I will say,
on your mark, get set, go. It has been a rough week.
Yes, we definitely have some questionable pastors in our community. Super questionable. Mm-hmm. But we also have some really great ones too.
Right. So and that's the balance that we have to strike. Absolutely. Because there's good and bad and all. We have good attorneys, bad attorneys, good doctors, bad doctors. So there, I agree with you. Jasmine.
I do.
And we've got bad politicians and good ones. And we see that when we watch city council. We see 4, and I'm going to say their names. We see Tanya Burns. We see Jerry Winfrey Carter. We see Jonathan Jarrett. We see Pfeiffer. We see them standing up and sticking together for the people. And then we see 4. Let me see. Help me if I forget a name. Liddell Lewis, Candace Machat, Leon L. Alameen, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody.
Judy Priestley.
How do I forget Judy Priestley? Right. Yeah. We see them, doing what they're doing. And that's, and it's not for the people, it's for themselves. We see them getting things for themselves personally. We see new kitchens. We see 501c3s being funded. And that's why this 3rd ward seat is so important. I mean, we can't even get Pastor Thompson's, his food giveaway fund. We can't even do that. This is absolutely ridiculous, but you want to make sure that you get money for yourself. Jerry said, Councilwoman Winfrey Carter said, William Harris is now the new chair. Okay, and that's what B. Maurice. So he is now the new chair. We'll see what he does. I don't know. So far, we have not seen these things take shape. So that's why we have had to be about the business ourselves of filing these complaints. And I want to say it again, Trevor Barrymore is who filed that complaint about, when Ron Fonger wrote the article. So, like you said, we'll do a slow clap. Thanks, Ron. Glad you came back.
Right.
Can I say that?
Long, yeah, we'll see how long it lasts.
Dang,
I won't hold my breath.
You're not going to hold your breath?
No, but maybe we can get through this election and he'll stay reporting. And all we're asking is that you do your job, right? Report the news. And
we want them to be investigative reporters. We want to go back to what journalism is supposed to be, because there is something that they are supposed to do as well. And you are supposed to investigate. Stop taking stories at face value and just putting it out there. That's why we're all talking in these kinds of situations. That's why we're on the air. That's why you have these podcasts, because we couldn't get a straight story, a true, factual, actual story from the media. We have an important election coming up, and we don't need all this other stuff going. We want to respect the process. We had 2 people come through, AC Dumas, Beverly Biggs. They came through. Those are the names that are on the ballot. Let's respect the process. And people in the 3rd ward, if you get out and vote. The rest of us that are on here, if you know people in the third ward, you have family and friends, remind them to vote, take them to vote. I saw something, let's see, truth be told, Candace Machette is now attempting to get 300K via Rep Cynthia Neely since you're right, truth be told, that's exactly what's happening. We have a race coming up next year for state representative. We need representation at the state level as well, because we have been voiceless. We have been voiceless down there, and we've been voiceless for a long time. Let me just say that.
And we also, so I do have some information on election day.
Okay, go ahead. Pull us back, Jasmine. Pull us back.
Well, I just want to make sure that we get this out there. And I know Reverend Threlkeld does an excellent job of keeping everyone informed and talking about it every Saturday. But just want to let everyone know that the special election, we did talk about absentee ballots. Those are out. You can request that. But also, the actual election day is August 5th, Tuesday, August 5th. From polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. This is for precincts, old precincts, because we also had that.
Right.
7, 8, 9, and 10. Precinct 7 votes at Burston. Precinct 8 and 9 votes at the Avery Aldridge Activity Center. And precinct 10 votes at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. There is a flyer. I'll share it on my social media, and I'll send it to you, Mayor Weaver, so you can get it out as well. This was done by the city clerk's office. So if any of this information that I gave was wrong, you can blame it on her and not me, because she's getting paid and we are working as volunteers. And as Mayor Weaver said, call all your friends and family, encourage them to get out and vote. No, not encourage, demand that they get out and vote. Take them to go vote. And also, if you have any time that you can give to the candidate of your choice, I know they're knocking doors, go help them.
Right.
They need our help.
They need our help. They need our support. They need our vote. And I mean, because this is ridiculous. And we see how it impacts the whole city, because you need a majority to get certain things through. And so while it has been absolutely wrong that the third ward has gone voiceless for this amount of time. I mean, somebody could have had a baby by now. It's been that long. That they have gone without representation. The city has suffered. And we, the people, have suffered as a result of what we have witnessed. Some of those council members, and I named them, what we have seen them do, how we have seen them not stand up for the people. Let's see. S. Neely. This is Truth Be Told. Okay, Truth Be Told. S. Neely is sneakily campaigning for Johnson via his very recent postcard, absolutely, sent specifically to third ward residents, where he cites her as ambassador. Now, who ever heard of when we start getting ambassadors appointed by the mayor? And really, and I remember those same 4 city council people that we said have been speaking up for the people, Tanya Burns, Jerry Winfrey Carter, Jonathan Jarrett, and Dennis Pfeiffer. You know, I remember when they were outraged, and really the council president and the rest of the council should have been outraged that here comes the executive branch making appointments, when that should have been some city council business. That's what it should have been. Stay in your lane. You know, but you think all lanes are yours, and they're not. They are not. And that's what people need to be made aware of. You know, you're running around with a little cowboy hat on. Take care of the city. Take care of the city. Do the right thing. You're worried about the wrong stuff. Oh, he was telling me we've got 2 minutes left. I'm reading post. But I mean, I just, you know, and we do only have a couple of minutes left. I want to take an opportunity really to thank Pastor Threlkeld for allowing us to come on, because I have appreciated him, because he is a true advocate and champion in this community. When we were talking, you know, people have mentioned pastors. He's one that is not scared to stand up, speak out. He does not back down. He has been doing this for so many years, keeping this community informed and educated. Jasmine, you know, they talk about, I don't know, some people, they like to hear from Rosicky. I like to hear from you. I say, I know, what do you call people that do that? The political
analyst?
Yes, and we look to you for this. I appreciate you coming on and giving your insight, your thought, and your wisdom. And so we just want to remind people, what? Go vote.
Go vote and get those complaints into the AG's office.
That's right. Get those complaints in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been such a privilege and an honor to be here with you today, Jasmine. Stanley McKenney, we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're looking forward to the fall coming up. She's going to be watching games. We're not going to see Jasmine that much. And so for you to come on with us today, no, you've been busy. You've been busy. And this is early, but I appreciate you coming on and everything you've been doing, because you've been a voice and a fighter in this community for a long time. And we're going to keep on standing up, as Pastor Threlkelds' intro music said. We want to thank you all for coming on here. Make it a great day. And we will talk with you later. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Saturday.
Thank you, Mayor Weaver.